Hey guys, welcome back to the DC show. In this video, we're going to have an open spoiler discussion of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
We'll find out today if Doug's been a good dog or a bad dog.
Stick around.
Here's a clue. He's been a bad dog. Wait. I just gave away the whole answer.
Oh, damn it. We'll still stick around, I guess.
It's not much of a clue. It is a clue. It's a really good clue. It is the answer. So, all right, guys. So Doug and I both got a chance to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this weekend, and I think we both had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, we both did our own, like, kind of a after quick spoiler-free video. This one will have spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, maybe come back afterwards.
Yep.
But we both seemed like we enjoyed it. I think we both agreed that it was probably our second favorite of the Guardians movies, with the original being our favorite. The second one was still very good, but in comparison, this one was a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. Had a lot of heart. It was kind of a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I was maybe a little bit more happy about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania than a lot of people were. I think I said it was maybe the most fun I've had in a Marvel movie in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And that might have been a little bit overambitious of a statement. But I don't think I'm wrong, for myself personally, in saying that this one actually was probably was the most fun I've had in a Marvel movie in a while.
Yeah. And
I know a lot of the initial reviews out of Europe were saying that, like, the best movie since Endgame. Yeah, maybe. That's probably.
I liked Spider-Man a lot too. I mean,
That's
I don't know.
True. That's
Endgame
true.
might have still been better, but I did enjoy Spider-Man a lot. There was other movies that were really good, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've had a great, a really good Marvel movie that most people, the consensus is that they like it.
Yeah. Actually, Amber and I did have that conversation. Like, what do we like better? Far From Home or No Way Home, right? No Way Home or Guardians Volume 3. Yeah, I think No Way Home probably was a little bit better. Now, even though Doctor Strange is in it, it's definitely a little more isolated of a movie. Well, Guardians is really isolated too. So hard to say. They both kind of are like off in their own world for the most part.
They have their good parts and bad parts, like most movies do. But yeah, ultimately they're both a lot of fun. I mean, obviously beautifully shot and those type of things. James Gunn, like I said, is a master at what he does. I mean, he writes these beautiful scripts and he has a lot of heart in them. That's why he recasts a lot of people for multiple projects, because he knows how they work and stuff like that. And that's what people like, a lot of the greats do. And a lot of people like Adam Sandler has a lot of his friends in his movies and stuff. So James Gunn, he's going to do big things with DC. I mean, as much as I love Marvel, I'm kind of excited to see what he does.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of flack for casting his brother and his wife in like pretty much everything.
True.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but his wife did have that small role in the what's the name of the place? The Org Corp or whatever, Org Corp.
Orgo Corp.
Orgo Corp, yeah, where she was like the one doing the communication stuff, whatever in there. And there's like, I think he said that there will be some cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Superman movie.
I said at least one person.
Yeah, but he didn't say how big of a role they have in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So it's like
it could be his brother,
his brother or his wife. Like she was technically in that. But I have a feeling it will be one of the main cast. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Chris Pratt or Dave Bautista, making an appearance. So
cool.
We'll see. But yeah, so right off the bat, man, this movie kicks off with the intro with the Marvel logo, and it's all Guardians. It's all scenes from the Guardians movies. It's
holiday special, all the different times they've been in Infinity War,
script lines from their appearances in the MCU. Which is pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. Because we know this is the final film of this group of Guardians.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool little send off having that special Marvel intro.
Yeah. So, they also had some cool practical effects. Like towards the beginning of the movie, Peter is missing Gamora still, so he's drinking a lot. He passes out. So Nebula is trying to carry him to his room so he can get some rest. And there's this shot that we'll put on the screen of her carrying them, all the Guardians and everyone walking with her. And I guess that's actually a dummy of Chris Pratt that actually can breathe and everything. Like, so it's kind of cool practical effects. There's some funny clips that I might add into the video of.
Yeah, I know. Which is not creepy at all. Oh my God, my poor wife.
My poor wife. This is what she has to deal with every night when she goes to bed? Yuck. Oh, God. Ugh. This is terrible, my self-esteem. Like, this is... Slower. Go slower with it. But here, I'll show you. Grab underneath his arm and then in this part of his elbow here.
All right, so clearly this was a movie kind of focusing on Rocket and his backstory, right? I mean, the main villain, Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary, what we find out he was the one who did the experiments on Rocket and created what he is now.
Yeah.
So,
and Herbert Wyndham's been around for hundreds of years, possibly more. But he's been making all these, he's trying to be a god essentially. And he made a thing called Counter Earth, which is like kind of like looks like Earth in the 80s, which is coincidentally when Starlord was abducted and taken by the Ravagers. So I don't know if there's any kind of connection with that, but
I mean, he made a reference to the fact that he had been to Earth before. So I'm assuming that's what Earth looked like when he was there, which is why he made it look like that now. But he obviously also got the animals from Earth as well. So I'm assuming that was around the same time that Rocket was created, was back in around the 80s.
Yeah. So he's had multiple generations of these creatures, and Rocket's part of Group 89. Like he's 89P13 is his tag. But basically he's trying to create this perfect society of these like humanoid animals. And he gets to a point where they're becoming violent and crazy, and Rocket like is smart enough to detect how to fix the problem. And so it kind of upsets him that, you know, he created him, but something like, how come he knows that?
Yeah, there's something in his brain that allowed him to figure out the solution to this problem that he himself couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
So he's really confused to how this creature that he made that should be below him, that shouldn't have the intelligence that exceeds his own, was able to somehow decipher this problem. So I think it's really been bothering him for a really long time. So when he finds out that Rocket's out there still, he wants to get him back really bad.
How did you like the High Evolutionary as a villain in this movie? Because some of the villains, you know, they're just okay, you know, in Marvel history.
Yeah. I mean, this is a completely open spoiler discussion, right? So, I enjoyed him as a villain. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that they didn't show him die on camera, because I feel like so many of these good villains we've had, they're a villain for one movie and then they die and then that's it. They're done. I mean, despite the shortcomings of Thor: Love and Thunder, Christian Bale's an amazing actor, and if he would have been a villain that makes multiple appearances over multiple movies, that would have been awesome. Be able to explore his character development more, but they killed him off in one movie, you know. So keeping the High Evolutionary as a potentially he got out of there somehow before his ship exploded, then there's just a chance they could bring him back later, which is good because he was a good villain, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of people I saw on a poll of who they would recast Kang for, where they were trying to recast, I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Put it on the screen.
They wanted to recast the actor that plays the High Evolutionary. I apologize. They wanted him for the role of Kang, which, you know, I mean, maybe they could spin that to be some kind of a variant. You know, Kang's kind of like a god in a sense. You know, maybe one of the variants became the High Evolutionary.
Been around for different variants of him have been around for thousands of years. So definitely could be. I mean, he's a really good actor. He was really good in the Peacemaker series. Speaking of which, we did get a cameo by Eagly.
Eagly, yeah,
officially Eagly from the DC universe was in the Guardians movie. I mean, according to James Gunn, that was the actual Eagly, not an eagle that looks like it. No, it was like the exact character Eagly. So
that's kind of cool.
It's the first DC Marvel crossover in the
he did hint that, I mean, being now that he's running DC, he did hint that it could happen in the future. Not that it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. There's so many legal things involved there. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a slap on the wrist from DC and Marvel for saying that's the same character. But but
I think he probably did that because he was saying that there were certain things in like Infinity War where he didn't have as much control of the characters, but he wouldn't have wanted to happen with like Peter and stuff like that. He wouldn't have wanted him to like freak out at Thanos or whatever and try to like destroy everything that they had worked towards.
Yeah. He also said that he was very appreciative that Taika Waititi kind of bit the bullet for doing something with Thor because he didn't have any plans on addressing the fact that Thor was with them, you know? So if you followed the chronological order, if Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't there, you wouldn't have known what happened to Thor, because last we knew he left with the Guardians, as Guardians of the Galaxy, and that wasn't his decision. So he was like, crap, well, I didn't plan that into Guardians 3 when I wrote the script, because you wrote the script for Guardians 3 a long time ago.
Yeah.
It got postponed for a long time. So he was grateful to Taika for kind of pulling him out of that situation and letting Thor have his own story, so he didn't have to work that into it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting.
And it's kind of cool, like all of the characters in the movie, all the Guardians and Guardians adjacent, all had like pretty fun relationships with each other. I mean, I think my favorite is Drax and Mantis. I mean, they're like I said in the other video, like a brother sister, kind of like picking on each other.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was
I know what it is.
Go ahead.
No, you can say it. I'm saying I know what it is.
Yeah. So when they're going to where they're investigating or where
The Orgo Corp?
the Orgocorp, and
Yeah.
she says she like basically uses her mind powers to tell him that you're in love with him, and
Tells the guard or whatever. Yeah.
and so he's like going after Drax and
Yeah.
like, flirting with him and stuff. He's like, every time.
Yeah, that was the best part, that it was like, it wasn't an isolated incident. Like clearly she does this to him all the time, that just made it more funny.
And then as we joked, like Cosmo and Kraglin had a good dog, bad dog
Yeah.
thing. It was
that was a
funny.
pretty funny continuing little arc in that movie.
Yeah.
Of course we all assume that eventually he is going to say she's a good dog, but
Which he does.
the payoff was there, and it was cool because, it was like built up throughout the movie.
And then Starlord with Nebula, because he's all sad about Gamora, but Gamora is clearly a different Gamora because she's from a different timeline.
Yeah.
She doesn't know their relationship, and even though he's heartbroken about it and drinking and just sad and whatever, like Nebula's been there for him, like sticking by him, and she knows that he's a good guy and all this stuff. So, and Gamora jokes about who she's describing is more like her.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks at her and he's all, maybe. And then she's like, stop it, you're freaking me out.
Was that you were in love with? It sounds more like her.
Her? That's ridiculous.
Do not bring me into this.
Knock it off!
What?
I never noticed how black your eyes were.
They were replaced by my father as a method of torture.
He picked a pretty set.
That was in the trailer already,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we did see that already, but it was still one of the more funny parts in the movie when he starts talking about her eyes. And,
Eyes. I never noticed how black they were.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
And then also the first official F-bomb in the MCU, which
Yeah.
was awesome between the two of them as well at the car scene.
Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't open the door and he's like telling her to push the button. She finally pushes the button in and she's like, now what? He's like, open the fucking door.
Yeah.
Push down on it.
What?
Push it down.
I am pushing down on it.
Push the button. It looks like you're pushing the keyhole.
The what?
There's a button under the handle. Press that in.
Okay. Now what?
Open the door.
That is a stupid design. And your instructions were very unclear.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it's kind of surprising that it was until now before they finally got to do it. I mean, I guess they've been trying to work it in other spots. Like a lot of actors have been just saying it, like in improving it, hoping that it'd be a funny enough moment so they would keep it in, because they are technically allowed to get away with one. I guess it's
But there's also special rules I was hearing about that I guess even in a PG-13 movie that if you're going to have an F-bomb, it has to be like at least an hour into the movie.
Oh.
And I guess that's like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie
Oh, wow.
when it happens.
Okay.
So there's certain rules that they have to follow if they're going to drop an F-bomb
Yeah.
in a PG-13 movie.
I think most people would have assumed it would have been Samuel Jackson, right? I mean, he was close to saying it.
He got dusted.
Well done.
Yeah, it got dusted, and then we got
Spider-Man.
getting cut off at the
Couple
end of
times.
this movie. Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Yeah, but
that
but yeah, Chris Pratt got it, and it was a funny moment. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing that I wish they would have showed more in this, because it was totally built up in the holiday special, was the relationship between Mantis and Peter Quill. We find out that they're half brother and sister. Ego was both of their fathers.
Yeah.
They're both half celestial, and we got nothing about that. Like, other than I think one line where someone said it's your sister or whatever,
Yeah.
but there was no like further development of that relationship. There was no development of the fact that they're half celestial. Peter Quill nearly dies.
Because he doesn't have his helmet, which
Doesn't have his helmet.
James Gunn explains afterwards is that he left it in his
He was-
desk because
he
they
was
had
in a hurry.
they had to hurry
Yeah.
because backtrack a little bit, what happens in the beginning of the movie, why they're going to try to save Rocket and why it's more a Rocket story is Adam Warlock, who's a new character that they hinted at in Volume 2, in the gold cocoon with the Sovereign.
Sovereign, yeah.
Yeah. So Adam Warlock is coming for Rocket, and he basically puts him close to death, and so they're trying to help him and save him, and he leaves quickly. So he's saying he forgot his helmet in his desk in his office or whatever on nowhere.
He didn't have his rocket boots either.
Yeah, which I guess they said they don't need them because Rocket built them jetpacks that are better, more superior.
Was he wearing a jetpack though when he jumped across the ships?
He might not have been.
I don't think
because he like slid through, and then he used like the cord or whatever he was holding on to that had like some kind of propulsion.
Oh yeah.
And he slowly like let it once he aimed like where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
He like finally let go. I don't know.
So anyways, that was a perfect moment when he was basically freezing in space like Yondu. Perfect moment for like something like his powers to kick in and like show that like he's half celestial, man. He doesn't need oxygen. He doesn't, whatever. They chose a different path to go with it, which is fine because it helps to set up any future, Guardian stuff with Adam Warlock. But
so yeah, they gave Adam Warlock his like hero moment to save him basically and become part of the next iteration of the Guardians, which is, spoiler alert, obviously from the end credit scene or mid credit scene. But they kind of reenact the birth of Adam or the creation of Adam, the Leonardo da Vinci painting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, but kind of cheesy, but
Yeah. So back up a little bit again. So we find out that the Sovereign are actually also created by the High Evolutionary. Mm-hmm. And so that's why Adam Warlock's trying to get Rocket. Yeah. It's for the High Evolutionary. He's trying to get him back for him.
Yes.
And that's what kind of sets off the whole thing. So that's also why he's after them the whole time.
And his mother, Aisha, she said that he took him out of his cocoon too soon. So he's kind of like, in the comics, he's like kind of more, I mean, he may be badass in the future movies, but he's kind of more of a badass. He's kind of more of the role Vision has played. He has the soul stone in his head and stuff. So they have a bolt in his head in place of it, kind of like a homage to the comics, but it's not a Infinity Stone.
So he's a little bit ignorant to things.
Yeah, he's basically born
he's like
a couple days ago.
Yeah, he's like a full grown baby, kind of,
Yeah, so I wasn't too happy with him initially, but I think that he'll get much better.
They gave him a bit of an arc. His character did develop a little bit throughout the movie.
Yeah.
In the mid-credit scene, like you said, it does show him with the new Guardians team, and they ask him like his favorite song or whatever. And so he clearly has been spending some time with them and learning some stuff about the culture and about the universe. So I think the next iteration we see of him will be a little bit better developed, matured, knowledgeable character. So
that's cool. So they go to Orgo Core, and then they have these different color spacesuits, homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey. And they go down, and there's like these different colors that you would think would line up to the color of their spacesuit for communication.
Yeah.
So Starlord is talking to Gamora, and he's like explaining like his love for her and how much he misses her and all this stuff, but everyone can hear their whole conversation. And then it's kind of a joke that all the colors are mixed matched except for the yellow one, which is Peter's suit. And then Mantis like yells, "Hello," whatever, really loud.
Peter, this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful.
And you're just telling me now?
We were hoping it would stop on its own.
But I switched it over to private.
What color button did you push?
Blue! For the blue suit!
Oh, no.
Blue was the open line for everyone.
Orange is for blue.
What?
Black is for orange. Yellow is for green. Green is for red. And red is for yellow.
No, yellow is for yellow. Green is for red, red is for green.
I don't think so.
Try it then.
Hello! You were right.
That's a pretty funny scene as well. I mean, a lot of people thought it was supposed to be like Among Us suits because the different colors and stuff, But that OrgoCorp place was like, they said it was an organic like planet or place. They grew it, which is really weird.
What he's been doing with all the planets, they're kind of lined up all weird. It's like not like a normal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Such a strange thing. They actually, to get in, they actually cut like a hole like, with Nebula's suit or arm, like cuts a hole through the thing, and they go through it.
Her new arm is pretty badass.
Then we got some pretty funny scenes with Nathan Fillion. He's worked with James Gunn before as TDK as the last one I remember him in for Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and he was one of the in the first Guardians. He was one of the monsters in the prison too.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
And then he also was supposed to be what's the character's name? Wonder Man. He was supposed to be
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man Simon Williams. He was like on posters in one of the movies.
Oh, you're right.
It was like a
in the
deleted scene or
background,
something. Yeah, they were going to
yeah.
have him in there as Wonder Man, which they already have cast Abdul Mateen, the guy from the new Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with names,
I mean,
especially when they
I
got
am too.
complex names.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll put their pictures up and their names, but so he's worked with James Gunn a few times, so it's kind of cool, and those scenes were pretty funny.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him in a more prominent role later on in the MCU, but it was pretty funny. I enjoyed his character. So
he's kind of like one of the head guards, basically, and they have
That's what it
these
seemed
weird,
like,
look like fat suits, basically.
like weird, like organic suits with weird, like gravity things on them, and apparently he had a pretty powerful gun though too, because he causes some damage with that.
Yeah,
thing.
he shot Drax. I honestly thought Drax was going to die, because considering that they were saying that this was the last movie for most of the Guardians, like this last movie for this team, that I thought for sure someone was going to die.
Well, especially since Dave Bautista straight up said like he's done playing Drax.
Yeah,
he's done. I mean,
maybe he could change his mind.
Yeah, I mean, and he probably will later on. I imagine, if the
bring him back for
if the script is right, or the project's right, or the money's right, or any combination of those, he'd come back for Secret Wars or something, or maybe even further down the line than that.
Because as we find out at the end, he's not meant to be a destroyer; he's meant to be a dad. So he kind of takes over the role of like the dad on Nowhere for a lot of these kids that they save from the High Evolutionary. So that's kind of cool too. But anyways, so they're going to save Rocket, and they have Peter keeps making jokes about that this is a face-off, like because the movie's like only seen certain movies, being abducted in the 80s, which was Face-Off even out at that point?
I don't think it was.
But he kept on saying it's a face-off, so he must have learned about it somewhere, or he just felt like saying that. But it comes true that Herbert Wyndham's face does get ripped off, because earlier in the movie, the way his face looks like a mask because Rocket tore him up, like after he shot his friends, which we didn't even get into yet. Some of the flashbacks with Rocket, he's in this cage with some of his best friends, which is Lila, which is an otter-like creature, which is in the comics is like a girlfriend to him, a good close friend. And then there's Teefs, which is like a walrus who's got these big wheels, and he's got like these mechanical eyelids. He can't even blink on his own, basically. And then there's a Floor, which is like this rabbit that has like a voice box and like a metal mouth, spider leg, creepy legs. But like you fall in love with these characters like in just a few scenes, because like they're all like getting to know each other. They're becoming friends. They choose their names for the going to the new world together, and which they're not going to, because they're not the perfect race.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was intentional, but we were kind of set up to think they're going to have some adventures together, at least Lila and Rocket, because in the first Guardians movie, when they're imprisoned, it shows that one of his associates is Lila. So you assume that he's spent some time getting into trouble or whatever, doing jobs with her. But turns out not so much. Yeah.
So that kind of sucks, because, she seems like that'd be a fun relationship and fun adventures to see together. But, it is what it is. This is the final Guardians movie with this team, so we'll see what they do. Maybe somehow they'll bring her back from an alternate universe or something. I don't know. So they go to face off against the High Evolutionary, and they're trying to get there's a Rocket on his heart. There's like a failsafe or something like that.
Yeah,
where
they need like an access code.
And it's in one of his High Evolutionary's like main scientists.
The reason they went to OrgoCorp was to get that data from their database there, or whatever. And when they get there, they find out that information was downloaded and taken.
By that
and
guy.
removed by that guy. So, and Peter Quill remembered seeing him on the planet, or the OrgoCorp,
whatever it is.
And so they decided to go after him. So
they all start to fight, and stuff starts to break out, and he ends up tackling him out the window. And then Groot runs after, like they're shooting their guns. They have that classic scene where Groot has like multiple arms.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. He snuck a bunch of guns, and they searched Peter because he's got pockets and things, and then Groot's just a tree. So they didn't even scan him or anything. That's true. Yeah. And so they didn't even scan him or anything. He walks in with like 6 guns inside of him, So
that was a pretty cool scene. And then anyways, he tackles him out the window, and then kind of free falling, and Groot jumps out and like forms these wings, catches him, and then they glide down, and
they kind of use the scientist as a break.
Yeah. And kill him. They get the data to save Rocket. And then that's when the High Evolutionary basically like destroys the planet. So they get away in the ship. And everyone else thinks that Peter and Groot are still on there. So they jump onto the ship, and then they have like a miscommunication where they're like, oh, dang it, why are you on there? So that's how they have to go back and save them again. And that's how Peter ends up almost dying, you know, out in space.
Yeah.
So it was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, we're jumping around a lot. Sorry about that, you know, but that's kind of how our conversations usually go.
That's what we wanted, right? Like our channel is really just to record our conversations and share those with you guys, and then hopefully get some feedback.
Yeah. I mean, if you've watched the movie, then all of this would make sense anyway. So it's not really, I mean, even though we're jumping around a lot, it'll still, you know, be clear to you if you've seen the movie.
That's how our brains work. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jumbled up.
ADHD. At least me.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, once they all get back to the ship, you know, they have to then kind of work together to defeat the High Evolutionary and get out of there. And once they get Rocket restored, he's good to go. Mm-hmm. They all have this really cool scene where all of them are working as a team in this hallway against a bunch of guards and stuff coming after them. Really cool. It was shot to look like it was all just one continuous shot, and you got a moment for each character to kind of shine and show them just being kind of a badass.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, just because they got to work as a team. I mean, that's what this movie is. They're a team, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yep. So it's fun to see them. It's cool to learn their stories and all that, but ultimately I want to see the team working together, being, you know, badass.
And they were. I mean, they tore those fools up, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CGI, I'm sure, in that scene. I mean, obviously with Groot and Rocket being part of it.
One other thing about Groot, earlier in the movie when they first land on Counter Earth, that part was really cool too, is these creatures don't know who they are. So like the little kid throws a ball towards Drax. Drax throws it right back in her face, and they all start like attacking him. And then Groot turns into Kaiju Groot and like gets all big and like has like this big old bark tongue and
claws and like.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
was
liked
really
Groot
cool.
a lot. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah. I still like the OG Groot. Like when you look at all three of them from the 3 different volumes, the OG Groot's still my favorite. But Groot in this,
there's actually more than 3, but there's like 5. Anyways,
I mean, they're primary forms. They are. Sure. I'm not counting like little tiny Groot
in the pot, and then
I'm talking like the teenage Groot, the full adult Groot from Guardians Volume 1, and then now this kind of
like buff.
The swole Groot as he's.
And then there's another one which we'll get to in the. After
No, and that one and the one you're just talking about on Counter Earth they're pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. So then. Anyways, they end up defeating the High Evolutionary, and his face comes off, and he supposedly dies, but we talked about, we don't know for sure because they didn't show it on camera.
Yeah, I mean they leave him defeated there on the ground in his ship that later explodes.
Yeah. So another thing that was kind of cool was Kraglin coming in the head of nowhere, which they turn into essentially like a battleship. It's like he flew it in there to come help rescue them and everything, and so they get all the kids onto the ship and onto nowhere and basically save the day and get away. And that's where they kind of decided to all kind of go their separate ways. Rocket's kind of bummed because he was like wanting to go on adventures. He just, when he was close to death, he was like in this kind of realm where he sees Lila and he's ready to go on adventures with his friends. He's ready to die. And she's like, it's not your time yet. You got more stuff to do. And, what's the quote that she says? It's not the hands that make you, it's the hands that, or it's not the hands that move you, it's the hands that move the hands, or something to that effect. Yeah. Basically, it's like, even though he was created by this guy, there's a higher power above him that's saying, like, hey, you need to keep moving forward and doing your thing. And essentially Rocket becomes the new leader of the Guardians as Peter's wanting to go back to visit his grandpa. Yeah. Back on Earth.
Which, Rocket's been trying to say he's the captain of the ship the whole time anyways, arguably better pilot, maybe. It's debatable.
Yeah.
Not according to Peter Quill, but yeah. Actually, I like that. I was really hoping that we weren't going to lose Rocket in this movie. A lot of people, I think, assumed that we were going to lose Rocket in this movie. Yeah. I mean, it looked like it was setting that up from the trailers and everything. Knowing that this was going to be the last movie with this team, I think a lot of people assumed multiple Guardians were going to die. Yep. Even people that had seen the movie were like, oh, it's very emotional. There's a lot of sad moments. And none of the main characters died.
Yeah, which
I'm okay with.
Yeah,
I'm okay with too. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then so we do get the new team in the mid-credit scene. So that new team consisted of Rocket and Groot. Yep. Which in this Groot is a huge like Alpha Groot, King Groot. I'm not sure, he has a big old crown essentially looking on his head. So
he's like, it looks like they're chilling on a boulder. He's just like curled up on the ground, and then he gets up and it's not a boulder, it's a big old, Groot, Alpha Groot.
Yep. And then we have Kraglin still on the team.
Who's a little bit more confident now. He's kind of getting
He
down.
used his heart to control it, which he
Yeah.
saw a little flashback of Yondu, so that was kind of cool too. And then we got Cosmo still on the team, so we get some more Kraglin and Cosmo. That'd be fun. And then Adam Warlock's on the team, and the newest one, which is a newer character, is Phyla, which is essentially in the comics is Phyla Vell, daughter of Marvel, who was the original Captain Marvel in the comics. And she's also a partner to Moondragon in the comics, which is Drax's daughter.
Yeah.
So we're not sure, but possibly they're going to, change that up some.
Yeah, I think it's because since Drax becomes kind of like the father to all these kids, because she is one of the kids that they end up saving that the High Evolutionary created.
She's got some other kind of special powers too.
Yeah, they didn't really go into it. She definitely has some like glowing fist, or at least one glowing fist.
And her eye.
One of her eye glows blue or something. And so she definitely got some abilities, and clearly enough to be a part of the Guardians, So,
and also I think the little creature Blurp.
oh yeah, he's going around with them too. He became kind of like Adam Warlock's little pet.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird little creature. I don't know what that is, but it's a
Well,
way to sell merch.
So we could you could put up the name of the creature. You look it up.
I think it's Blurp or something.
But essentially, it's the same creature that they have fighting on Nowhere in the.
That's got hair all over
Yeah,
it.
but this one has hair. Those other ones don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He
interesting.
seemed a lot bigger than those, but
Whatever.
yeah.
So it should be interesting to see where they go with the Guardians in the future. Obviously, they've got a lot of projects that they've already announced that still have to come out. So it's going to be a while before we get another Guardians movie, but
Yeah.
maybe the Guardians team will show up in another project, since they're not, it's a new team. They may want to like have them show up somewhere as a smaller role. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I have a feeling it'll be a while before we see any of these characters. They do. So they kind of tell you, okay, we got Nebula and Drax staying on Nowhere. You got
It's basically like the sheriff of the
yeah.
like running it and in charge.
we got Mantis, who decides to go off on her own journey.
Yep.
She's got a couple of bodyguards with her now that she some friends she made.
Yeah.
And they don't really tell you what's going on with her. She's just taking off. She wants to go find out who she is, essentially.
Gamora's doing her. She's back with the Ravagers. right?
Gamora's back with the Ravagers. We did get some moments with Gamora and Peter Quill showing that maybe she's starting to realize the kind of person Peter is. Not necessarily to the point of like a romantic, relationship by any means, but she was very standoffish at first. And now I think she had these moments where she saw who he is, and she's starting to realize like, hey, like,
Zoe
kind of get it,
Zoe Saldana said she's done with Gamora too, just like how Dave Bautista with Drax. So I don't know if we'll see the Ravagers anymore, and if we do, she may not be there. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, but she's off with the Ravagers, and then Peter Quill went back to Earth to visit his grandfather. So
yeah, and there's an interview with James Gunn where they asked if his grandfather knew him as Starlord, and he said no. So I don't know what he told his grandpa. He just went back and
he was missing for 30 years or
closer to 40, I think 35 probably. So and that kind of leads into the final end credit scene, which is him sitting there with his grandfather eating cereal.
His grandfather's got a newspaper, talks about Kevin Bacon's
that was pretty funny
experience with the aliens, which is a callback to the Guardians holiday
alien
special.
abduction. Yeah. Then he makes reference to the neighbor's 45-year-old son not mowing the lawn. And then his grandfather says, "Don't get me started," referencing the fact that Starlord or Peter Quill is sitting there at the tables eating cereal, probably not pulling his weight around there.
Yeah.
And then we get the message at the end that the legendary Starlord will return.
Yeah. So at some point they're planning on bringing him back, Chris Pratt, to play Starlord at least one more time, which we would assume would be for Secret Wars, but maybe something before that, who knows? Or maybe a separate Star-Lord type.
Or after. I mean, it's hard to say. They did say they're planning out the next 10 years, so, we only have the plan for up to like around 3 years from now.
And in the comics, it would be kind of cool, since they're going to be doing the X-Men soon, if eventually Kitty Pryde became Star-Lord. She'd become Star-Lord in the comics.
I was going to say, it did say the legendary Star-Lord will return, implying, at least to us, that it'll be Chris Pratt's Peter Quill Star-Lord, but there has been other Star-Lords, so maybe the title of the legendary Star-Lord will return. Maybe not necessarily the same person, not necessarily Peter Quill, but I think that'd be quite a misdirect.
Yeah.
You know, I think people would
Pretty
be a
sure
little
it'll be Chris
upset
Pratt.
about that. Yeah. So, I mean, Chris Pratt's, he's so perfect for the role. He's just fun, man. He's fun to watch on camera. Just going back to the first Guardians from the opening scene, man. And he's just like singing with his headphones on. Doesn't even realize that he's stealing this Infinity Stone. Drops it, which was like not even supposed to be in the script. It's like legit. He really dropped it. They kept it in. Just good stuff, man. Just a lot of fun. And so I really do hope he himself, Chris Pratt's coming back to reprise his role at least one more
I'm
time.
sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
But
All right, guys. So let us know if you got a chance to check out Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and let us know where you'd rank it among the other Guardians movies.
be sure to check out our website, like and subscribe, and have a
marvelous day.
Dun, 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 dun,
I don't know. Yeah.
dun. The smooth orange.
Yeah, Sweet Orange.
All right.
All right, man. Are we good?
Yep. Bye, guys.
Do we have enough outtakes, do you think?
Yeah,
Should we mess up some stuff?
I think we're good. It's going to be a long ass video.
Sorry. That's probably really loud in the microphone because actually a manhandled that.
Yeah, you did. Manhandled some stuff. Bye, guys.
Bye. Here, I'm going to embiggen this for us.
Nice.
Cool, man. All right. We did it.
We did what?
Oh, we left this too close.
I didn't do that.
Well, I mean, like, well, we did it. Like, collective,
Oh.
we. I didn't know that the fake Peter Quill breathes. I didn't see that on the video.
You didn't see that?
I didn't
I
hear
saw a
him say
video where
No,
they
I-
basically fill it up with air and like his chest
Oh.
breathes.
I only saw the interview with Chris Pratt and James Gunn where they're talking about it. Did you? You
I sent you that.
right? Yeah,
I
yeah,
sent
yeah.
that to you, but there's one where they have him carrying his own body. And he's like, this is it was like freaky to him.
Yeah.
And then they have it breathing. Just looks so like it's creepy.
The interview with James Gunn and Chris Pratt was pretty funny though, because like it took a while for James Gunn to realize what he was saying,
Yeah, well, let them come in.
and then once he did, he's like, "No,
That body is not really Chris Pratt.
Right.
They built a body and it weighed 35 pounds.
And it looks exactly like
It's
me.
really
It's
creepy.
very eerie.
Yeah.
And James now has it in his office. That's
I had it in my office for a long time and people would come in and scream.
They would what in it and scream?
They'd come in and scream.
What?
Because when it's sitting on its back,
They would do what?
come in.
When they come in? What did you say?
They come in and scream.
Oh, come in and scream. I was like, how many people did you like come in there and scream?
I don't know. Dude, I let everybody have a crack. It'll
You're like, it's really important that it looks exactly like
Rachel's like,
Chris.
"Shut up."
And he's asleep with his mouth
I was
open.
like busting up laughing. I love seeing people like genuinely laugh, like
Yeah.
you know these deep laughs.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm pretty sure lavs is the word.
I guess it could be laughs.
Lav mic.
But like, why is leaves instead of leafs?
English.
And why is teefs? Wait, dang
Because he's
it.
got teeths.
Dang.
His is more,
Why does he
more
get to be?
prominent.
Why does he get to be teefs but not leaf? Leaf has to be leaves. And why is bass and bass spelled the same, but one is? And there's two versions of bass. It could be like bass guitar or your home bass.
True.
All your bass belong to us.
English is a awful language, especially if you're a foreigner
English
trying to learn it.
Es stupido, as they say in France.
CC.
Woo! The team. Why are you dressed for the holiday special?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because I have Guardian stuff and I wanted to wear it.
Yeah.
And a lot of my Guardian stuff was winter themed.
I don't think I own any Guardian stuff. I don't have a lot of like specific. I mean, this is specific.
What is it?
This is Miles Morales,
Oh, okay.
but it's like all like multiple colors, like Cross Spider-Verse type stuff.
Oh, I heard that's coming out soon.
It is. I'm gonna go to that movie.
Hey guys, welcome back to the DC show. In this video, we're going to have an open spoiler discussion of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yep, we're gonna find out if Doug's been a good dog or a bad dog.
Stick
around.
I felt like I came out a little too
Like-
hot for myself, you know? In the
I mean,
beginning.
you,
I was like,
you were a tiny
a
bit.
little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, that's not a lot.
Oh, hey, you know what? Maybe it'll be perfect.
Or might be.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back. did it again. just as
I think that was
intense.
maybe more.
I think I was
more
thinking
intense.
being intense.
You just gonna wear it for the whole video?
I'll at least take the scarf.
Well, whatever.
Because
At least it's not like 90 degrees outside right now, so it's not like
true. California, Maine, California. It may be hot. It may be cold.
Yeah. It
may rain.
May rain. I don't know how high my battery is. I want to make sure it's plugged in just in case. I just forgot to do that, I guess, because it pulled up the image. So I never, oh, now I'm gonna be like something else.
California earthquake.
Like knock over the table.
Stands for Tokyo Denkai Kaigu Kogi. Kodi.
No, it doesn't.
Oh. It popped up. The detachable kid. So stupid. Sorry.
Okay.